Welcome back to ABC 7 at noon. More and more students in the borderland are returning to school, but it's a year like no other. Frustration is high and new learning methods may be tough, but there's one thing we can all do: take a moment of silence to just breathe. It's a practice already mandated in Texas public schools, and it's something that parents can use at home. Joining us to discuss it is someone who's written about this topic locally, Rabbi Levi Greenberg. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Madeline, for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Of course, it's great to have you. Tell us a little bit about what this moment can mean for families as they return to those classes online.
Well, Madeline, as you mentioned, going back to school this year has been, in addition to the excitement of starting a new year, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of the unknown. I mean, since March, life has been quite different, and school is no different than that. I mean, school was very difficult for the last several months of last year, and beginning this year, there's a lot of uncertainty. Many parents are unsure if they want to even send their children to school at all. Many of them are doing homeschooling, etc. But most children are returning to public school, to school in general, and they're doing it online for about 8 weeks. And as you mentioned, the state of Texas mandates a moment of silence, about 60 seconds, I would say a minute, that the children are silent at the beginning of the school day. And in conversations that I've had with students and even teachers in the system, many of them are unaware of the transformative potential that this moment of silence can have. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, taught that education is the foundation of any successful society. But when it comes to education, there are two parts to education. There's educating children how to make a living, how to get on in the world, and also teaching children of what they should use their education for. How should they use their education? They should use it in a moral and a positive way. Now, in general, when it comes to creating a curriculum, I understand that the system is laser focused on teaching children, arithmetic and language and all of these important things. But it's important also to give them a moral and ethical education, and taking into account how difficult that might be in a system that has to be, very, very impartial. So the Rebbe was a very strong advocate for the idea of a moment of silence. There's a new book that just came out last year called Social Vision.
This movement, it's not religious in nature. What are some ways that students can spend this moment?
So the first thing is that parents should be the ones to speak to their children about what they should be thinking about during that moment. Their parents should ensure that they have something meaningful and purposeful to think about during that time.
Thank you so much for joining us and for bringing us this message.
Thank you for having me.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.